again, welcome back to xameliax. I hope you are well. Today I'm going to be talking you through my colouring pen collection, exactly what I use for my colouring and which ones I think are the best. For those of you who don't know, it's been a while since I've done a YouTube video. I actually started colouring again at the start of this year, and it's been a bit of a game changer for me to help relax at the end of the day and also help my anxiety as well. I absolutely love it. I'm a bit of a convert, so much so that I actually started drawing my own colouring pages. So I created Doglet and Froglet, which is based on Toby. If you followed me for a while, you'll know Toby, my little dog, and also my son as well, who is Froglet. So we've got Doglet and Froglet, and I make printable colouring pages, but I've also got a colouring book coming out at the end of this month, and it's amazing. It's based on their world adventures. I love it. It's really become a bit of a passion for me, something I never expected to be a thing, but I just love it. I absolutely love it, and I'm really excited to get this book out. But along with actually drawing the colouring pages, I enjoy colouring them as well. And I learnt about the world of alcohol markers, because call me daft, but before I started colouring again, like when I used to colour before, I always used pencils, and obviously there's like a big thing around pencils, and I think they're a fantastic medium to use, but I kept seeing people colouring in with pens, and I thought, how are they getting all these amazing colours and all this shading with a felt tip pen? Because I was thinking it was just like your bog standard Crayola rainbow colour pack of pens that you get in like Tesco or WH Smith or something. I had no idea about the world of alcohol markers and just how many different shades you can get. You get thousands of them, and they blend so nicely. Yeah, it's a whole other medium that I just didn't know existed. So when I started out with marker pens, I got a set off Amazon. Looks like this. I'm not actually sure about the brand. They've got the word touch marker written on them, but there's lots of different brands that seem to sell touch markers. So I'm not sure if touch marker is the brand, or if you know, there's a different brand that just sort of make this type of alcohol markers. I'm not sure, but I will link the ones that I got down below. And I started out and I thought, right, I need as many colours as I can get for the smallest amount of money. Because at this point I wasn't sure whether colouring was going to be an actual hobby or if it was just going to end up on the hobby pile of death in the garage for when I start things, get interested in it for about a week and then get bored. However, happy to report that like 4 months down the line or whatever, I'm still going strong. So I have upgraded, but I started off with these ones. They were 120 pens, yeah, 120 pens for about £35, and again I'll link them down below. And you know what? They're actually all right. So they're double-ended ones, these ones. They've got the fine end here, as you can see, and then they've also got a chisel end on the other end. I'm not a huge fan of a chisel, but they do come in handy sometimes. And there are so many different colours. They come in this handy little case. I've got some of them in my holders here because I had a gap, and I actually do still use some of the colours from this pack, even though I've upgraded to my better pens. Anyway, so some of them are in there, but it comes in this handy little bag, so they're really easy to store. And you know what? They do a job. They blend okay, the colours are great, and you just get a lot for your money. So if you're just starting out, something like this is absolutely brilliant. And there's been a couple of pens that have run out for me at the moment already, but they are my most used colours. They're like my Doglet Brown and my Froglet Greens that tend to run out first, but overall they're still going strong and they do a good job. However, once I realised that this wasn't going to end up on the hobby pile of death in the garage, and it was actually something that I really enjoyed doing, I decided to upgrade my collection and get some Ohuhu pens. Now, if you go onto TikTok or Instagram or anywhere on the internet and look for colouring with markers, you will probably find this setup somewhere. These are the Ohuhu Honolulu pens in the Ohuhu bamboo holder. It's really hard to say. And pretty much everybody has these, and it looks like this, but it's so satisfying, so I had to join the crew. Now, I started out with a smaller set of pens. I can't remember which ones I've got. Let me go and check. Got all my swatch cards here so I know exactly the colours, but I'll talk about that in a second because I think it's really important to swatch your pens. But I started out with the 48 set, I think, of colours, which gave me a good range of colours. However, These are a lot more expensive than the touch markers. So I think for the 48 ones was probably around £50 for 48 versus £35 for 120. So you can see it's a big difference. But I started out with the 48 set, and then I also got the pastel set for my birthday, which I think there was possibly 48 in there as well. So yeah, I had like a pastel set and then a 48 set of colours that worked really well for me for a while, but I realised that I was missing quite a few greens. So then I got the 72 set and upgraded my green section there. And then a friend bought me the skin tone set as well. So I have 4 sets of Ohuhus that come to this here and that part on my old marker. So they still don't fill 2 of these. But the thing with the Ohuhu ones is there's a lot of crossover over the pack, so I have got a couple of duplicate colours, and if I wanted to fill the extra section, I wouldn't be able to find a pack that didn't have a lot of other duplicates. So my advice would be, if you're going to start doing this, go for the big pack straight off the bat, because I've probably spent the same amount of money, but I've gone about it in a bit of a wonky way. Does that make sense? Like, if you're going to use them, you're going to love them and you're going to want all the colours. So if you can get the big set at first, and then it's easier to fill in the gaps of the colours that you're missing. But you can build up your collection over time. You just probably will get a couple of duplicates, which is fine because they tend to be the colours that I use a lot anyway. So it's all good. But yes, this is my new collection. Now, some of them have got all of them have got a brush end. This is what I like about them. The brush end is my go-to end. It's so squishy, bouncy, juicy. It's just fantastic for colouring in. And then some of them have got a chisel end, but some of them have got a fine tip. If I can find one that might have a fine tip. Yeah, so these are a brush, which is my go-to, and then the fine tip. Now the fine tip on the Ohuhus is very fine, so it's good for those small spaces. But yeah, I would say the brush is my go-to one. So just make sure when you're buying them, you realize you're looking at what ends they have, because they have like a whole mixture of different ones. They have chisel and fine, they have fine and brush, they have brush and chisel. So make sure you're getting that right. And as for swatches go, they come with swatch cards, which are just a bit of a jumble, to be honest. So I actually made my own swatch card. You can get this on the Doglet and Froglet website for £1. But it's really important to swatch your colours, because the names on these pens make no sense. Like, some of them will be called soft peach and it's like a bright highlighter orange. It just makes no sense. So when you're picking them and going by the names, you're probably going to end up with something that's a completely different colour. So I would strongly suggest swatching them, because the names don't work. And I also found that with the cheaper ones as well, it's always best to swatch so you know exactly what shade you're picking when you're doing your colouring, because you don't want to ruin something. If you're anything like me, I get like really panicky that I'm going to use the wrong colour. But yeah, make sure you swatch them and pretty much ignore the names on them, and always use a piece of paper or a sheet behind if you're going to be colouring with alcohol markers, because the Ohuhu ones and also the cheaper ones, they do soak through. So I just use a piece of cardstock in between. This is actually free on my website. It's called Accidental Art. So you make art with all the stuff that goes through your sheets, but that's quite fun. But yeah, it's just a piece of cardstock. So I just use a piece of card behind, or I use an actual protector sheet. You get one of these free with my colouring book, and that will protect the page behind, because it will depend on the thickness of your paper or your card that you're colouring on as to whether it goes through. So for example, this is 160 GSM card that I've printed this summer printable on, but as you can see, it's gone through the back. Which is kind of beautiful actually. And my colouring book is really thick pages, about 200 GSM I think, and it still does show through on the back. I would just always use a piece of paper, card, protector sheet, whatever, behind your pages whenever you're using alcohol markers, because you just don't want to ruin the page underneath or your desk. And I tend to go for colouring pages with really thick lines, so if any of the juice from your pens, and the Ohuhus are juicy, if any of the juice sort of like spreads, it's not going to ruin your artwork because the lines are really thick, so it kind of like gets absorbed into the black lines. So that's also something to think about. I would say that the Ohuhus are juicier than the cheaper ones, definitely, and they just blend so much better. You really can get some beautiful blends with the Ohuhu. So in my opinion, I would say that they are worth the money. But if you haven't got that money to spend, or you don't want to spend that money, then the cheaper pens, they do a good job. The key thing is to just make sure that they are alcohol markers, not water-based, because the water-based ones just don't blend as well, and you will get that streaky sort of finish. So yeah, as long as they're alcohol markers, you can pretty much get away with anything, but I would highly recommend the Ohuhus. They're fantastic. I can talk the hind legs off a donkey even about pens, for goodness sake, so I'm sorry that this has been so long, but I hope it's been helpful in some way. A lot of you requested this over on Instagram, so it makes me really happy that a lot of you are interested in the colouring stuff. So if you'd like to see more colouring videos, please let me know. I'm happy to do some like pen comparisons or anything like that, or talk through my favourite colouring books and everything that I like to use. So just leave me a comment down below, let me know what you would like to see. And yeah, if you want to grab some Doglet and Froglet printables, they're available on dogletandfroglet.com now, and my colouring book will be available at the end of August. So yeah, if you are into colouring, leave me a comment, let me know. I'd love to hear from you all and see if anybody's actually as into it as I am. I've definitely gotten really into it, and I just love it, and that is just, it's so satisfying, isn't it? But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope this has been helpful, and I'll leave all the links down below. Okay, see you next time. Bye!